Everyone keeps talking about the supposed $20 million deal, but here's the part that deserves a closer look. Before anyone declares winners, losers, or a furious commissioner, ask one simple question. What was actually on the table, and why would any athlete say no? That's where this story gets interesting. Caitlin Clark has already changed the conversation around women's basketball, not because of one contract, but because every decision she makes now carries enormous attention. Reports and rumors about a massive offer spread quickly, and that immediately turned the focus away from basketball and toward business. Fans started debating whether walking away from that kind of money was brilliant or risky, but turning down a deal, if that's what happened, isn't automatically about rejecting money. Sometimes it's about protecting future opportunities, keeping control of your brand, or avoiding long-term commitments that don't fit your vision. That's the part many people rush past. When an athlete becomes one of the biggest attractions in the sport, every endorsement, partnership, and business decision becomes bigger than the paycheck itself. That's why this story exploded. It isn't just about one player. It's about how much power a modern superstar really has. Caitlin Clark has already proven she can fill arenas, drive television ratings, attract sponsors, and bring new fans into women's basketball. That naturally changes the business conversation. The bigger your impact becomes, the more valuable your choices become too. Some fans immediately assume this meant a battle between Clark and Adam Silver or league leadership, but there simply isn't verified evidence showing some dramatic confrontation behind closed doors. What we do know is that basketball is changing fast, and every league wants its biggest stars to help shape that future. That's normal. At the same time, elite athletes also want flexibility to build careers that last far beyond their playing days. Those goals don't always perfectly align, but that doesn't automatically mean there's a personal feud. That's where social media often takes a complicated business story and turns it into a headline built on emotion instead of facts. The real conversation is much bigger than one rumored offer. It's about player value, endorsement freedom, league growth, and how women's basketball is entering a completely different financial era. Clark isn't the only athlete thinking about these issues, but because she's one of the sport's biggest names, every move she makes gets magnified. Some people argue players should simply take the biggest offer available. Others believe the smartest business move is sometimes saying no today if it creates even bigger opportunities tomorrow. Neither side is automatically right. It depends on the details that usually stay private. That's why jumping to conclusions rarely tells the full story. What's impossible to ignore is how much influence Clark already has despite being so early in her professional career. Whether it's television numbers, ticket demand, merchandise, or media coverage, her impact has forced everyone to pay closer attention to the business side of women's basketball. That isn't speculation. We've watched the spotlight around the league grow dramatically. With that attention comes pressure, expectations, and constant public debate over every decision she makes. That's the reality of becoming one of the faces of a sport. Instead of treating every rumor as proof of some secret power struggle, it's worth recognizing that this is what happens whenever an athlete reaches another level of influence. Business opportunities become larger, negotiations become more complicated, and every choice gets analyzed from every possible angle. In the end, the biggest takeaway isn't whether one rumored deal was accepted or rejected. It's that players like Caitlin Clark now have more leverage than previous generations ever imagined, and that changes the entire landscape of professional basketball. The sport keeps growing, the money keeps growing, and the expectations keep growing right alongside. The real question isn't whether one contract was worth taking. It's whether this new era gives superstar players more control over their careers than leagues have ever had to deal with before. So where do you stand? If you were in Caitlin Clark's position, would you take the biggest offer available today or bet on an even bigger future tomorrow?